I am so grateful for our friends at Blue Microphones. Not only have they completely changed what our show sounds like, they've given me headphones so I can monitor things better. This is the mic for millions of creative people, and now I know why. I'm so grateful for them completely changing the quality of our audio. You'll find Blue mics like Yeti and the Mouse, which we're using here, both in pro studios and home studios, literally all over the world. Their popular Yeti caster is a Blue Yeti microphone plus a boom arm system that's behind many of your favorite podcasts. I run into them all the time, and now I know why. If you've ever thought about creating your own podcast or YouTube channel, Blue can make you sound and look great. Just visit bluemic.com and click Get Started, and you can start telling your story. As we're gradually moving back to opening schools and businesses and, of course, our in-person interactions, I want to remind you, this is all time with cold and flu season getting going. Staying hydrated is key to helping your body deal with the added stress and with the upcoming flu season. My regular fans have heard me talk about a product called Hydralyte for a long time now. It's an amazing rapid rehydration drink. It's a mix that, well, we're obsessed with here. I'm excited to announce they've just released Hydralyte Plus Immunity, just in time for cold and flu season. Hydralyte Plus Immunity starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of immune-boosting ingredients. Each single-serve, easy-pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract, creates what is hopefully immune-boosting formula that's high in antioxidants and zinc. Combining this with Hydralyte's 7 key electrolytes, it's a fantastic way to stay proactive and properly hydrated. Hydralyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy-to-pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water and make a great tasting drink that has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors, and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and it is vegan. And you can find Hydralyte Plus by visiting hydralyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that's hydralyte.com/DRDRW. And be sure to use our code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount.
Hey, everyone. It's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Indeed, that is us. There we go. Let's start with I on Facebook. It says, the people criticizing you for digital ID passports don't actually understand anything. That about summarizes my day. What happened to people on Twitter where they forgot how to read? It's really rather astonishing. Oh, you put the tweet up there already?
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping we could have the people on Clubhouse hear your opening too, but it's okay.
Yeah, so I just want to sit and think about it for a second, because
don't you want this to be part of the discussion?
Okay, let me go over there then, so I can read that.
Okay.
And we will start a room here.
Okay, so if anybody's a part of Clubhouse,
$1, and that's
wrong button.
At least it wasn't porn.
Yeah, that's your phone.
That's right. So we're going.
Scott Adams just popped in. Well, let me talk to Scott Adams.
Yeah, so we're going to be on Clubhouse, and we wanted everybody to know that this is a live stream, and anything you say will be recorded and be in the universe. So if you're on Clubhouse and you want to be a part of the show,
hey Scott Adams.
Like Scott,
are you there, my friend? I don't know how to. Did they let me start a closed room together, or they'll have me move him to the audience? Scott, can you hear me in the room here? Okay, I'm just watching the room fill up. For those of you that are starting, we are also doing a streaming show while I am here.
I think when you go into a private room, you just go with them.
I go with just Scott?
Yeah.
Well, I've got all these other people piled in here too, and I don't want to kick.
I'll tell him we're on Clubhouse and he can join us.
Scott Adams?
Yeah.
No, he's right here. He's on Clubhouse.
Oh, hi, Scott.
He's in here. I just can't get him to talk. His mic is muted for some reason.
Okay.
Mike, Scott, unmute your mic. If you see down the lower right-hand corner, there's a microphone. Hope I'm not muted. No, I'm not muted. Maybe he doesn't want to talk. That's okay.
Okay, that's why I wanted you to start it before.
So in any event, people that are piling in, we were also doing a streaming show at the same time. If you want to raise your hand and be a part of the conversation here, 2 of you have your hands up already.
We're talking about Drew making a comment on Twitter that I have showing here.
So yeah, I want somebody.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it because I wonder what is wrong with people I was talking to my son this morning. We were talking about vaccine passports, and I thought those were a good idea. But I thought what bothers me is that it creates an outgroup, right? That's what troubles me about it. So we put together a tweet. It says the following. These vaccine passports segregate people and strip them of their freedom to travel internationally. Is that accurate so far? Anybody have any
Yes.
debate
You have
about
to have a
that?
vaccine to go internationally. Yes.
Okay, so if you don't, you do not. Your freedom to do so is stripped. Correct?
And you also have to get a
I just want to make sure each
swab,
sentence is
a nose
accurate.
swab.
So if they segregate people, and those people that are segregated are stripped of their freedom to travel internationally. True?
Unless there's an age limit, like you don't have to have it under the age of 6 or something.
True. Vaccines are important. True? False? True? Okay. I encourage everyone to get the COVID vaccine. All right. I'm taking a position on the COVID vaccine. Seems reasonable. But how would you feel if international travel also required, with the emphasis on required other vaccinations? Obviously, I know there are recommended vaccines for international travel. How stupid do you have to be to read that as though I didn't understand that the CDC divides recommendations for international travel into routine, recommended, and required? But what if, and that's only in about 5 countries that there is such a thing as required vaccine. What if everybody required it? How would that be? That's the question.
Made it mandatory.
What do you think about that? So as opposed to responding to that question, I received, hang on a second, let me give you the actual up-to-date number here. Let me see if I can, no, let me get it. Let me see if I can get it up here, so to speak.
7,643 quote tweets.
Oh, no, that's not what I'm looking for.
Oh, it was like
Hang on.
10 million
That's what I'm looking for.
impressions.
Let me get the impression number for you all.
And a lot of birdies.
And ratioed is another word.
Yes, we were ratioed today.
Ratioed. So the number of impressions.
Can I explain what ratioed is?
Yes, ma'am. One second. 11 million with 11,000 media views and 269,691 engagements. And all, I would say 269,500 were complete misreadings of my quote. Now, I will take responsibility and say perhaps I should have been clearer in my quote, in my tweet. But rather than answering the question, how would you feel if international travel required other vaccinations in addition to COVID? How would that feel? They went on to criticize me for not knowing that international travel requires vaccinations. God, thank God you told me that. Thank God you told me that. I never would have known that had you not pointed that out to me. Oh, my God. Thank you. Thank you. I had no idea that was the truth. Oh, my God. What has happened to people? And so that's my question. What has happened to people?
But we kind of found it funny, actually.
It was funny.
We weren't upset like you are.
Bunny
right now.
says the responses were hilarious. Let's see what other.
I reported one guy for calling you a quack.
Oh, lots of name calling, lots of hatred, lots of name calling, lots of things that would be thought of as hate crimes, hate. Attempts at hate crime, that kind of thing.
Sorry, my
because
horn is.
because they didn't read what I wrote, and they assumed I didn't know the sky was blue. Therefore, I am worthy of hate and contempt. And what about these geniuses on Twitter? What about the geniuses, these 270,000 geniuses on Twitter?
One guy said you should go back to doing what you're good at, which is nothing.
That was almost funny.
The dog liked that one.
That was almost funny. So let me get on and talk to some people on.
I love it. I just love it.
Let me talk to some people on our clubhouse room.
We're very popular today because of your not writing mandatory or something like that.
Bring out Joe up here. Hey, Joe, what's going on, man?
Hello, Drew. How are you doing? It seems like you've had a very eventful day.
Eventful.
I want to wish you and Susan a happy belated Easter.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. And while I was waiting for you to come on, I was listening to a nice little thing on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is now monetized.
I saw that. It makes me a little uncomfortable, though. I guess you have people give tips or something. It's a little. I don't know how that's going yet. So count me. I'm not sure you can count me in on that one yet. So
I don't know, but it's interesting. But of course, you want to talk about the COVID numbers.
Yes. How are the numbers looking?
I mean, from Friday, Michigan has spiked.
Yeah, and yet hospitalizations are staying down, right?
Which is interesting. They are, and the deaths are surprisingly staying down. Now, what I did was, I took the 1-year numbers, which you could see on my Twitter feed and on Dr. Drew's local. I did it for California. I did it for Florida, Texas, and I started with Michigan, and I'll have to finish. But all the regions will be done by tomorrow.
Cool. I saw.
I noticed.
Go ahead. You noticed?
Was the one region, the last region that had a surge was Michigan. Their region had like an initial spike of like 2,000 cases, but then it looked like Whitmer just closed the whole state down for about 9 months. And of course, what happened after she started opening up a little bit? The cases spiked up also seasonality. But their spike occurred in mid-November. And I think that's why.
Interesting. Susan, they're asking for more volume on Clubhouse. And Joe, I look forward to those numbers. I saw Paul Offit, a famous virologist, vaccine researcher, who was saying that he suddenly has gone very strongly in favor of the vaccines. He was extremely skeptical of the mRNA vaccines for a while. And now he is seeming, at least his tone in the interview I saw, was extremely positive. And he feels that the vaccines are the reason, and the good treatments are the reason you're not seeing any increase in the death rate. So he is sort of thinking we might see things like that throughout the country, but we will not see increase in serious illness and outcomes.
I want to ask you 2 questions.
Yeah.
Do you think enough people have been vaccinated yet? Question 1. And question 2, do you think hospitals around or facilities, doctors around the United States are, let's say, not listening to guidelines and doing their own thing on early and aggressive treatment? This is, again, your opinion.
No, they're not. They're not doing a lot with early and aggressive treatment still. And again, what was the first question?
Do you think there's enough people vaccinated?
Vaccinated. Again, bouncing off what Offit was saying today, he said we need to get up around 80% before we really are in better shape. Clearly, we're doing something right, though. The numbers are looking awfully good. And maybe it's all seasonality, Joe. Maybe that's it. But it's hard not to imagine that 150 million people with a vaccine and another, what do we got, 20 million with the disease, that we're getting close to. It's doing something, it seems like to me. But thank you, buddy.
And again, the deaths are the key factor. And what I am noticing is that Michigan is still flatlined. New York has been flatlined for weeks, even as cases are going up. All these areas have flatlined in death.
Good. That's only good news. So I appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. We have other hands up here. Let me go to Britt. Hey, Britt, what's going on?
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
You
It's
betcha.
actually the second time we talked. The first time was in 1996 when I called into Loveline to ask a question about something.
Wow.
I know. So I've kind of grown up with you, and that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up watching this whole thing play out on Twitter, because I'm pretty sure Loveline had the original Twitter troll, and it's one of
some of that stuff.
It's one of the things that I appreciate about you is that even when somebody would call and ask a fake question or something, you always gave an earnest answer, because what was most important is to get the information out to the public. And I watched you do that today. So I saw, even with the trolling and even with people saying things and going off, I was like, you know what? He still is consistently trying to get the information out to the public. So that was really the only thing. Sorry, my son has type 1 and his alarm keeps going off.
That's right.
So I just wanted to say, like, I see that consistency, and I'm like so glad that there's somebody that's still out here, like, doing that.
Well, it's very kind of you, and I've even changed. I even feel more strongly about it because I've had this crazy 3 decades of clinical experience on multiple fronts, and I just want to give it back. I just want to unload it on people because there are not a lot of physicians out there with the experience in medicine and psychiatry that I've had, and addiction, and it's a time when it's really needed. And I just want to just give it out. I'm happy to give it out. If I just trying to figure out how to do it, where to do it, it's kind of challenging. And what do you think the shift has been? Why are people so crazy? I mean, there's always been goofballs, like you said, back on the radio back in the day, and I can even remember when Amazon first started putting book reviews under the books, and I was astonished the horrible things people would say in the book reviews. But it's like people feel it's some sort of sport or game now. What's shifted? What do you think?
I think people definitely have a shorter attention span. Social media and the internet boom has emboldened people to feel like they can say whatever they want and do whatever they want, which I'm like, you go ahead and say whatever you want. But it's also, people sort of have this like feeling like because they can Google something, they have just as much expertise and knowledge and education as somebody that's trained in a field for years and years and years. I see it every day, and I'm like, if you constantly think you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to, like, that's a scary place to be. It's always, and we have just millions of people now that go on social media every day and think they're the smartest person in the room all the time, and that's why we get that. That's why we get people that are like, you're this, you're that, like, I'm going to call you horrible things, even though, like, 2 tweets ago, I thought you were, like, the greatest thing ever. Like, it's like people can't get out of the mindset that they're in to think critically at all.
And there's a name for that. It's called the Dunning-Kruger syndrome. You ever heard of that?
Yeah. Yes.
Dunning-Kruger is so alive and well. It's unbelievable how many people succumb to Dunning-Kruger. It's to me, that's why I get this feeling that, oh my God, we've failed people educationally, because you don't know enough to know how much you don't know yet, and that's why you can feel like you know so much.
Yeah, and I feel like from what I've seen, I follow you on Twitter. I just found out that you were on Clubhouse. But it seems like if people are arguing in good faith, asking questions in good faith, you do seem to answer them. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're not open to debate or open to talk about things.
I love that. I love my mind to be changed. That's how I grow. I mean, I love that. But you gotta engage.
Yeah. So that was really all I came here to say. I just saw a lot of the back and forth, and I was like, wait a minute, this is like. These are some like armchair, like Monday morning quarterbacks, and I just wanted to be, I guess, another one of them and chime in. But
well, no, I appreciate you're being supportive, and I appreciate it. But it started from them not reading the tweet. That's the thing I find so extraordinary. They didn't read the goddamn tweet, and then it started from there. The question was, how would you feel if you had required vaccines for all international travel? That was now maybe we left out the word all, and that opened up the door to people going, you didn't know the vaccines are suggested for international travel, and some countries require it. No, yeah, I did. I give them out all the time. I knew.
Yeah, I saw that, and I actually laughed because I was like, maybe he forgot all. Like, there's no way he doesn't know that.
Right.
But it was crazy. It was like it's like there's just people waiting to pounce.
Mandatory.
Like, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, waiting to pounce, Brett. That's exactly what it feels like. Like they're just like they're all, I can't wait. That is one hell of a shitty life, seems to me. You know what I mean? I don't know to me that's the opposite of what we should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. It's people with way too much time on their hands.
All right, Britt. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. I got a few other hands up here. This is Rye. Is that right? Rye?
Hey, it's Ray.
Ray. Say it again.
Ree.
Hi, Ree. What's going on?
So I was wondering if you had like 2 minutes to take a non-COVID related question.
Absolutely.
So I watch Frenemies with Trisha Paytas, and I love Trisha Paytas because I'm just like her. And I was wondering, like COVID and everything aside, sorry for the stupid question, but why do guys like Crazy Girl?
Well, that's I'm not sure I can generalize. But you have to kind of step back and ask, why does anybody like anybody, right? Okay. And one of the things that people do very little thinking about is what causes attractions. I think a lot of people that think about these things just go, no accounting for the chemistry and the what there is. Turns out there is, and if you had a kind of intense childhood, if you had adverse childhood experiences, that sets in some pretty intense preferences and some attractions many times. And often there are attractions to the people that were much like the perpetrators that created the chaos in our life when we were little. Now, we may be consciously trying to avoid that, but our body is such a perfect instrument, we'll actually still pick somebody that is much like what we were dealing with and didn't like in childhood, if we had a super intense childhood with adverse childhood experiences. I think that's where some of those attractions you're talking about may be coming from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. And it's not, and I also would be, did you use the word crazy girls? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would refrain from using terms like that because they're a little pejorative and they don't really define anything. But I think you're talking about people that are a little chaotic or maybe hostile, and those things can be very appealing to people. They can be exciting. The other thing that people do in their relationship is they mistake love for intensity. And the craziness you're talking about is sort of intensity, and some people can feel really gratified by that intensity, and that's another reason possibly for what you're talking about. Let's get Chad Quackenbush in. Here's Chad. What's up, Chad? It's weird. Maybe he's not in here. Sorry, Chad. I can't get rid of you. So, are you there, Chad?
Hear me?
There you are. Got you now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Am I driving you crazy yet, Dr. Drew? I feel like I'm bothering.
Not at all. Not at all.
But I really
drive me crazy.
I really am. I'm sorry, Sue. Thank you. I am starting to really get, I don't know if the word's angry, right? But I'm trying to understand. I have a 55-year-old friend that lives in Florida. Was diagnosed with COVID last week. She's overweight. And I told her, I said, listen, why don't you ask your doctor to see if you can get some ivermectin? And I sent her your protocols that you put on there. Mm-hmm. Not saying she was going to be able to get every one of them. Mm-hmm. Her doctor did nothing. Now she's on the ICU because they can't control her temperature and her oxygen saturation keeps dropping. And I'm just starting to get angry. This is like the third time I've dealt with different people that I know that I've sent your protocol to that absolutely get no response from the doctor until it's too late.
I know.
And it's not saying it's too late like they're going to die, but they are going in the hospital or they're getting very, very sick when I feel like I don't understand. And then they get mad at, like, I don't want to say common people, but people that aren't doctors or medically driven, right?
Yeah.
But they're not following any sort of protocol when it comes to treating this thing, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't either, except that sometimes they're in big systems where they have to follow these clinical pathways, or they will literally lose their job. The thing I'm confused by is here you have somebody that's desaturating who is high risk. Why not? And she's over 55. So why not get her the bamlanivimab, the etesivimab, the monoclonal antibody? You can get as an outpatient. Start her on Decadron. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? I can't understand. So I literally can't understand. So I don't get it. I don't understand what's happened to my peers. I've said it many times on this stream that the surgeons are all about improvising and rushing in and doing some interesting stuff. It's not cowboy. It's not cowboy. It's using the literature as you understand it. It's being proactive with things like monoclonal antibodies that are the government has bought most of this, so you can get it for next to nothing. So, Chad, I don't know, but now hopefully she'll get remdesivir, maybe Regeneron, tocilizumab.
Yeah,
There's all kinds of stuff she can get in the hospital.
I mean, she slowly was getting better a little bit today. She was admitted last night. They've got it, seems like, under control. But
Good.
they can't blame everything on the political divide. At some point in time, I feel like the medical community needs to step up and say, we are doctors, we are medical people, and you have to listen to us, and here's what our protocol is.
It is different than you think. It's that they feel it's almost like internal politics within medicine.
Oh, okay.
They don't want to step out of line with their bureaucracies they might be in, and they feel that anybody that does anything aggressive is now going to be labeled as a cowboy, when in fact all they're doing is anticipating trouble and doing what's in the usual outpatient recommended treatments. So I don't know, Chad. It's very weird. I've never seen my profession behave like this. Do I see a light?
Do you see a light that now COVID has put the highlight on this bureaucracy, and maybe there'll be a light at the end of this tunnel that maybe we'll get through some of this within the next few years?
I hope so. I don't know. I really don't know. This has all been very mysterious to me. So I don't want to. I've given up on trying to prognosticate about things. I sure hope so.
Okay.
Good. So
thanks for your time.
You bet, Chad. Thanks so much. Leopold, who's asking about his what vaccine he should get. I think you're good with any of them, but I might lean towards Pfizer, Leopold. The variant's a little better. Variant coverage is a little better, and that's the one thing you've got to worry about. Let's see. This is Tom. Hi, Tom. What's going on?
Dr. Drew, hi. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you, buddy?
Great to be speaking with you. First of all, I just want to say my girlfriend and I are big fans of Dr. Drew After Dark. We keep it high and tight.
Keep it high and tight. That's right.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to, it's sort of COVID related, but I wanted to ask you kind of a general mental health question.
Yeah.
Because, COVID obviously certainly brought to light a lot of, mental health issues that people deal with day in and day out. And so I was just wondering, what do you think post-COVID, what do you think, how do you think people are going to be taking charge of their mental health? Do you think more people are going to be serious? People who before COVID wouldn't have been as serious with their mental health? Do you think going through this traumatizing year that we had last year, people are going to take charge more with their mental health, or do you think it's going to go backwards?
Well, the fact that so many people are sick with mental health issues is making things go backwards, right? I wish people weren't suffering. I wish we didn't have this, but we do. I do think that the new world of Zoom therapy has been very good. It surprised me how good it's been, and it's gotten people in the door of mental health services. So I like that a lot. I'm also surprised how much 12-step meetings worked as Zooms, though they're not as good as in person. We got to get the in-person meetings back again. So I think that there might be people accessing services that wouldn't otherwise. I just saw President Biden spoke to the ONDCP, and I liked what he was saying about. He literally was admitting that the lockdown has caused a mental health crisis. That's the first time I've heard a government official say that. He said he was very appropriate. He said, this is awful. It shouldn't have happened. It's happening. We got to do something about it. I'm like, yep, slow clap. Unfortunately,
and that's appropriate, and that's certainly necessary.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he wants to send a ton of dough to something called community mental health centers, and I'm unconvinced. They've just never worked. They just never worked. And so here we go again. At least we acknowledge there's a problem, but as usual, we just send money in the wrong directions. The other thing I'd love to see, there's, parity is discussed all the time for mental health services, and I'd love to see real parity one of these days, where they screw it up every time, because what they do is I've been through 3 sweeps at parity, and each time they go, and the insurance companies will be required to recover to cover the services for depression at the same level as any other medical problem based on clinical criteria. They don't specify who gets to make the clinical criteria. And then, of course, the insurance companies make the clinical criteria. And so the physician who's taking care of the case can do nothing except follow their criteria. So now we're back. This maybe I shouldn't be surprised. This is like the way COVID is being practiced right now, right? This is the same phenomenon as COVID. The doctor going, I just can't do it. I would like to do it, but I can't. And maybe it's the same kind of phenomenon where insurances and bureaucracies are making these decisions. The decision-making has to be returned to the patient and the doctor. If we don't do that, there will be no parity. No parity. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
All right,
really
man.
couldn't agree with you more. I really hope, just people, after the year that we had, they start to take their mental health more seriously. Even, you haven't really had too many mental health issues throughout your entire life. Just start to think about it, be more honest with yourself about it. I think more people are doing that nowadays.
Great.
And I hope, in a post-COVID world that continues to go up. But thank you for taking my question. And
you bet, buddy.
You bet I'm coming up in May.
Better be coming up in May, Tom. You better be. You bet. I'll be coming up in May. And
Now I know what that is.
Susan has seen that video. She just threw up. Hi, John. Hey, John.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, buddy. What's up?
A couple things. Well, for starters, as far as your Twitter situation, are you a Game of Thrones fan?
Yeah.
All right. So I have this thought that if you remember the moment, people get so invested over all the series, the characters, everything else, and half the time it's like you want to watch just to see them finally off one of them characters. And it's like you have that moment where Cersei Lannister gets marched naked through King's Landing. And everyone's just out, can't wait to do it down. Exactly.
Shame.
And the guy, throwing the chamber pot. There's something very interesting that, especially with the online realm, that people just want to get in on that group action.
Yeah,
I'm always very fascinated. I think of that every time I watch people kind of do the whole group thing. Just a couple.
Very weird.
Oh, go ahead.
It's just very weird to me.
Find it,
I don't understand.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, it is disturbing. It's not appealing to me, but here we are.
Can I interject something?
Wait, Susan. My wife wants to say something. Go ahead.
Because I did all his tweets after the whole Dr. Droop's it's just the flu debacle in March of at the beginning.
Yes,
of the
let's be
pandemic.
clear. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was very concerned by the press demanding that we follow the Chinese Communist Party's policy of lockdown. That was extremely disturbing to me. I pushed back hard. I pushed back too hard. I was wrong on multiple fronts. And so I pushed for about 2 weeks, and then I apologized for getting a few things wrong and getting things, kind of. Right. I was trying to make the point that we had just had a pandemic in 10 years prior, H1N1, and you didn't even know that one had happened. Right. That was a serious pandemic, and now you want to shut the world down for this one just because President Xi thought that was a good idea. Anyway, I was pushing back on that.
So my learning experience was that when people tweet something to you to give you a message, and at the end they call you a name or they say something mean about you, they get a lot of retweets and likes because everybody wants to pile on to the shit slinging. And so what I found today, the same thing was when somebody will, maybe you should not quit your day job, kind of stuff, but it's always mean and hurtful, but that gets them the numbers. So that's sort of the idea. I mean, some of them were very nice tweets or they were just responding how they felt, but these people had to lash at you so that they could get more likes. That's pretty much how I take it anyways. That's my...
Yeah, they get highly rewarded for being horrible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to there being any sort of guidelines or sort of consequences for anything, they get rewarded for being horrible. But anyway, anything else going on, John?
Yeah, so a few things. Just wanted to, two of them are compliments. One of them, Dr. Drew, I got to say, I appreciate the objectivity that's come from you, and I very much enjoy as well Z-Dog, Dr. Z-Dog. To see everything politicized this past year for me has just been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I've heard you mention a few times about your political aspirations and more out of the need. Look, man, if you think strongly on it, I'll tell you, I'd be supportive of the notion. I think more people like yourself need to get involved because this has just been insane for me.
Well, John, let me just say, yeah. I met with some people today. I really don't want to do this, but people keep telling me things like, friends of mine in the military, for instance, like, your country needs you. The country's calling. You got to serve. You serve when it calls. You go when they need you. And I have this very, very deep feeling that somebody's got to save this state. It is a freaking catastrophe here. And so there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My last point was this. I listened to the lady, and I don't want to be disrespectful when I'm saying lady or whatnot, but whoever took over the CDC, the doctor, right?
Yes. Walensky.
Look, I'm listening. The fact that she even used doom, the word doom, when she's speaking, and it seemed like she was trying to earn a Golden Globe or an Emmy, blew my mind. I'm thinking, I think you're in the wrong position.
No, you know what it is? I looked at that pretty carefully. She knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about. It. She doesn't get how to communicate it. She doesn't get how to do that. And that's what I see. And I find that's another one of the things I found so bizarre in this pandemic, in that we have disciplines that learned and studied for 20 years how to change behavior. We needed that because of the AIDS epidemic. We needed its ways to really influence people's choices. And we figured that out, and none of that, and I mean none of it, is being applied in this pandemic. It's like they threw that all out the window.
Yeah, the fear concerns me the most. I got an opportunity to talk to you a couple of weeks ago on here, and the fear freaks me out. And I remember, I've heard you talk on it many times, and then I listened to it. All I could do was shake my head. I couldn't even say it. I'm like, doom. Okay.
Yeah.
Doom's the appropriate word. But that's all I got to say. Appreciate you, man, as always.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Nice comment.
Somebody on Twitter said that your millennial kids are explaining what ratioed is to you today.
That's true. That's true. That's really funny.
I wrote that.
Again, I'm seeing...
I had to have it explained to me first.
I know. I'm seeing so many pathetic...
Can we explain what it is, though? If you want to know
Everyone
what it means.
knows except you and me.
Okay. How many of our restreamers don't know what it means?
Let me look over there.
Because that was my tweet today.
But I'm looking at the tweets going by, and they're pathetic.
So
Here's what people are getting upset now because I used the word segregate. Segregate means to separate. That's what it means.
I think if you had said mandate instead of required.
What is wrong with people's reading capacity?
Anyway, so you had almost 8,000 quote tweets and 3,521 likes. So since it's more quote tweets than likes, that means you've been ratioed. Like it's half.
Right.
But that half people never like everything. It's always a 50-50 down the line. Politics, whenever you take a vote, it's always almost 50-50. So that's what you get.
That is what you get. But people never, on Twitter, people never cease to disappoint me. Again, for those of you just coming into the
Twitch guy knows what it is.
The audience.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the Twitch knows what it is. In the audience at Clubhouse, we are taking calls. If you raise your hand, I'll put you on here. And we're also streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And somewhere.
You should have heard what I
Periscope.
wanted to put out on that post
Hey, what was that?
I was being a little rougher, so. Everybody told me not to.
All right. Curious what was in that tweet.
No, I can't say.
Let's see. I'm looking at the restream here. We also have a chat going at the same time to you guys in the audience. I'm trying to read their comments.
I mean, we're just always surprised when we go viral. Like, it's like, what? Oh, wow.
Does anybody have any strong feelings about the passports? I actually don't. I sort of feel like, why are we drawing the line at passports when we have to show our papers for everything? If you go traveling internationally, every time you go on land or an airport, you have to show a COVID test. You have to show it. And by the way,
which is good.
Which is not good because it's making travel that much more expensive and inaccessible to people. And again, segregating them further. That's exactly what it's doing. So we have papers on papers, and
for once, it's being ageist towards the older population having the advantage instead of the younger population.
And in the EU, they are very concerned about this idea of showing your papers every time you cross borders. It's echoes of a less pleasant time.
They don't want the Americans bringing their COVID.
No. You're missing my point entirely.
I know. I get it. I know why you wrote it. I agree with you.
No, you're not listening. In Europe, during the Second World War,
I know.
when you moved around, you had to have your papers.
I know. My family lived in
And,
Prague.
and
Okay,
this
I
is
know what that
hearkening
means.
back to that for them, and it's not feeling very good. Augustine. Hey there.
Yo.
Hey man, what's happening?
Yeah, I'm not. How's it going? Yeah, doctor. I'm not getting the vaccine, and I'm against the passport.
So
the only way I'm going to get the vaccine is if the Chinese Communist Party collapses, and it's entirely.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's a communist.
Well, I mean, then it's too bad, I guess. But like, it's an
but
entirely political decision.
No, but listen,
you know?
this is good for you. Yeah, I get it. So you're the exactly the kind of person I want to talk to. So don't you feel that the passports are unfairly, they're discriminating against you? You can't travel internationally. You may not be able to go to events and museums and things. Do you have feelings about that?
Yeah. I mean, so be it, I guess. I don't know. I think the risk, the thing I'm worried about is that, this is kind of gradually conditioning people to accept tighter and tighter controls over their behavior. It's the end game of this is a full-on social credit system where you do the right thing and you have the right credentials and you get rewarded for it. And it's a gentle form that leads to basically fascism, in my opinion. So that's the only reason I'm not interested in the vaccine, by the way. I guess that, it's a little sketchy. It's like, it's a brand new technology and whatever. But like, it's kind of a shame because, I would kind of like to be able to, move on, but I can't right now,
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. You're doing it strictly for political reasons.
Well,
which is very
what if New York?
Entirely, 100%.
What if it happens like on United States land? Land. What if we're not allowed to go to New York without a COVID test? I mean, without a vaccine.
I live in
or a COVID test for that reason.
Yeah, I live in New York State. I might have to move. Yeah.
Because New York is instituting the passports.
And it's a little elitist to travel because I'm planning a trip out of the country, and we're going straight into we're going from New York to one country, and then we're going to another country or close by, and we have to have a test to get on the ship, and then we have to have another test to go back into the United States. So we have to have 3 COVID tests each, which may cost $200. Not sure, might cost more, but it's kind of an elitist thing where we're not able to go somewhere because we can't afford it. It's like an airline ticket. So, I mean, I find that to be unsettling.
Yes, it's exactly what I said. It's segregating people, and it's further pushing people out of access to things that they should be accelerating access to, the things that they want in life, whatever that might be. Hey, Punky, what's going on? Punky?
Drew.
Hey there.
So I do have strong feelings as well against the passport because I've basically, for this entire year, have been self-isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm an isolationist kind of by nature, it's taken a pretty big toll. And so the idea that that there's no end to me being a subclass less than citizen for no reason. I'm perfectly healthy. I served in the military for whatever that's worth. Like, I've done things on my own. I bought my own house myself. I got 2 puppy dogs. I am not a bad person. And I'm being treated like I'm less than dirt because I don't want the vaccine. I don't want to do the masks. And then this passport is now going to be like the masks kind of have a seemingly potential like end, right? But the passport is just another way to extend this sort of exclusion for people who like I contribute to society. You know, I have a good job.
Yeah,
I build all kinds of infrastructure.
This is the part that bothers me. But I don't object to the vaccine, the passports in principle. I object to them for what they do to people like you and like John. Although John's really creating it on his own. It sounds like, I mean, this is you being you is being punished.
Exactly. I'm not allowed to be, and I've been my whole life, fiercely independent. And so this kind of it kind of hits me at my core where I'm not allowed to be me. Like you said,
Right.
it's just not acceptable. I always go back to like a sub-citizen. I'm less than dirt. Like I have been treated less than dirt, and I'm not argumentative. I'm not looking for fights. I don't go most places. I don't try to get into that conflict.
You don't
And when
belong
it happens,
on Twitter.
I am on Twitter though, sometimes just to be an asshole to get it out of my system.
Let's not do that. Please don't do that. Let's don't be a part of that problem.
Not in a bad way. I'm not like
I dealt with 11 million. Dealt with 11 million of them today. That was enough.
What if we could just sign a piece of paper that said, "I'm willing to take the risk of getting COVID and flying." You know, you just said I opt out. It doesn't.
That's the part that's crazy to me. That there is no choice. Whether
how did you deal
exactly,
how did you deal with the military though? You don't get choice when you're in the military. You have to take vaccines. You have to follow protocol.
But that was my choice. I chose to be in the military. I knew what that entailed. I knew I had to get, stuck with that vaccine gun, and do what they tell me to do. Like I knew what that entailed, and I chose to do it. Here they're crossing a line. Like I'm willing to take my chances with COVID itself versus the vaccine. And if so many people are, I don't care what people choose. Like you do you. That's cool.
Exactly.
If you want the vaccine and you protect yourself, and most people are protected except for the ones who are willing to take the risk, then I don't see why that's been American life forever.
Well, yeah, you do you seems to not be the phrase of the day. Right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well, Pumpkin, it's very interesting. Thank you for calling, okay? And thank you for your service. You bet. And we got a bunch of people with their hands up now. Now we're sort of striking a chord with this thing.
Well, I mean, we believe in vaccines. Like Dr. Drew and I are 100% behind taking the vaccine. We're both getting it. We're both behind it.
And by the way,
but you can do you if you want to do you. That's your choice.
And we're going to cooperate with, and I would like a chance to talk to people that are refusing the vaccine to try to convince them to help reduce the replication of this disease.
Right.
Like if we don't get to around 80%, and we need you guys, the goal should be not shaming you and not demand you not be you anymore, but it should be, hey, we need your help. We need your help. Come on along here. We got to stop the replication of this virus, because if we don't, there's going to be more variants coming, and it's going to get all of us screwed up again. Be a part of the solution.
What if you get a pizza with every vaccine?
But by the way, that's not happening tomorrow. That's going to happen in a few months. We're going to know whether or not we need their help or not. So
she said she likes isolating, so she doesn't really need it.
No,
she's
I know.
not going to go to a foreign country anytime soon.
No, I'm not saying she does need it. I'm just saying that it's,
Are they going to require it to go to? I think you have to have a vaccine to be able to go to like a sports event too.
Jaharla.
Yes.
Hey there. How can we help you?
Good to talk to you again. It's been about 20 years.
Oh wow, how about that? Crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, regarding the vaccine task force, look, I think it's. If it's limited to just being a passport to travel, or if there's a sunset clause built into the thing, or there's legislation that prevents it from being used as of them piggybacking a social credit scores kind of system on top of that software, then I think people would be more okay with it. But the problem is that sort of the aristocracy, the technocratic elites, they don't want to have that conversation. And people like you who have a big platform, or maybe other people, kind of need to force them to have that to assuage some of our fears, and then we could have this conversation.
The only thing I worry about is we've already seen their inability to go backwards, and you're wanting them to build backwards into the system, and that's what. Hang on a second. Will you tell Julie not to text me when I'm doing something like that? Is really inappropriate. Somebody texted me there's an emergency. When you text doctor an emergency, I drop everything. So please take care of that for me. Sorry, Jamal.
She dyes his eyebrows.
Yeah, right. But the fact that they will not go backwards is deeply troubling to me, and it's been one of the serious kind of sort of concerned. The thing that's been almost more troubling than anything else, that they just extend their excesses, and that's why people are sort of pushing back in areas where it's funny to me that this is where we push back, right? Because you're already being demanded to get tests and demanding to get that, and they're only asking a million other things of us. But all of a sudden, people went, "Whoa!" Somehow the QR code was the line on the sand, isn't that true?
I actually like the idea of having the passport card keep track of my vaccination, because I'm horrible at keeping the paperwork.
Right. Listen, if you don't mind, I get it, but I also get the concerns that people have. And how do you pronounce your name?
Jawaharlal.
Jawaharlal. What kind of name is that?
Yeah. Indian.
Very interesting. Jawaharlal. So,
yeah.
But I get your concern. I totally get it. And hopefully there will be some pushback, and we will sort of reach some kind of moderation on all these sorts of excesses that we've been seeing. This is Smubplius, I think the name is. Smubly.
Sorry, my name's Tyler. Actually,
that's a little better. Okay, Tyler, I get that. Good. What's going on?
Yeah. So I obviously have concerns with the passports. Here's kind of my thing is like, so my family just kind of got hit with COVID. We've been able to avoid it for like a year or so. I literally just got tested actually.
Good.
And so. As a family, we've been extremely, cautious about what we do, that kind of stuff. And we didn't do it because our governor, Kate Brown, told us to do it. We did it because we're responsible people. I think the problem that everybody's had over this year and a half is that the government isn't, our government entities aren't treating us like responsible people who care. They're just kind of telling us the way it's going to go.
Right.
As soon as we got it, everybody quarantined. We canceled our Easter, and we're a Christian family, so like Easter's a huge thing to us. But we canceled it. It's a big thing. We've done, and again, it's not because some government entity told us to. It's because we care. Just like if we got the flu. I mean, we would take the necessary stuff to stop that kind of spread. We wear our masks and that kind of stuff. And I just got my first dose of the vaccine. So with this passport thing, it's just another thing where they just kind of treat us like we're too stupid to care. And this is what we have to do to make sure that you guys aren't being bad citizens. And that, and this is coming from a family who is not like super anti-vaccine or, super into major conspiracies.
Let me ask something. So you're Christian conservative, is that true?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that the Christian conservatives used to be thought of? I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but let's just say that people would think of as that's the party that was busy telling everybody how to live. And now they're the ones pushing back, and it's the other side that's telling. That's why I'm staying independent. I'm so in the middle. It's like ridiculous. But I don't want to flip back from one extreme to the other. I'm right. I want what Punky said. I want you to be you. I want you do you.
Sure, yeah. I think that's what the majority of Americans want. The majority of Americans are in the middle. They just don't ever get their views expressed on television because it's not what sells. And so, I am conservative. I'm right wing, but on a lot of stuff, I think there's a ton of middle ground, whether that's immigration or taxes or whatever,
But I don't think you're interested in telling other people how to live their life.
No, certainly not.
Right.
And I don't like this whole thing has kind of given. Okay, just an example. I don't want to detour too much, but I'm a huge Oregon State Beaver fan, so they just went to the Elite Eight. Mm-hmm. And they had a big thing in Indianapolis at a bar. And, there were like probably 20 fans there. And they're eating, drinking. They don't have masks on. And so this guy goes on there. It's on Twitter. And I try not to put too much stock into that kind of stuff. But he goes on there and he thinks it's his responsibility to tell these people off. Like, you're at a super spreader event. He doesn't know these people. He has no idea if they've been vaccinated, if they've been tested, if they've been responsible. And so it's kind of, this whole situation is kind of given rise to to people just like it's really none of your business, to be honest. If I'm being quite honest, like it's not even that he cares. It's just he's trying to tell these people like how to live, and this whole situation has really given people, I don't know, in their minds, the right to do that kind of stuff, and it's like it's extremely annoying.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate the comment. And isn't it interesting how many of us follow along? I mean, I did at the beginning, and I thought it was my sort of duty, and now it's become people's way of claiming a certain territory, I guess. It's kind of very interesting. Russ, what do you say there?
Hey, Drew. I was just kind of, I guess, piggybacking on the you do you thing. I had always thought that once everybody had access to the vaccine, we would be able to decide, well, I'll get the vaccine or else I'll risk getting sick. So I don't understand the other side of that.
You're right. Let me explain what has happened. You are so right, and it warrants explanation. And this is, again, why one of the reasons I'm so critical of the public health system. They've not given us the information we need to understand what we're supposed to do or why they're doing what they're doing. Here's what's happened. We kind of thought by the time, much like you, I think most people kind of thought, I think most of the specialists kind of thought that by the time we get vaccinated, 200 million people, we're going to be in pretty good shape. This thing's going to settle down. Now, we should have known better. We know these viruses mutate, but we didn't really, I suppose we didn't really want to think about it. I'm sure somebody was thinking about it. But the viruses have mutated in such a way and have the potential to mutate more in such a way that they could bring this whole thing back again. Literally, the whole thing could happen all over again. That is a finite possibility. Remote, but finite possibility. In the meantime, they're looking at P1, B1351, this Indian variant that's in California, and B1117. B1117, I got no time for. It's already taken over, whatever. But the 1351 and the P1 is the one that can get around the vaccines and maybe cause more serious illness and maybe get around the people who have immunity already. That's really concerning. So we, in the meantime, have to continue some nod towards mitigation efforts. We have to at least kind of keep an awareness of the potential of spread. We should be really locking down local areas that have bad spread, like Michigan and things like that. But okay, let's get the vaccine. Let's kind of move about. Let's not be critical that everyone's starting to move about again. Let's educate them what they need to do to move about safely. Doesn't that seem like a different kind of messaging than what you're getting?
It does, entirely different. And I also agree that any kind of large-scale registration and restriction definitely makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
just like you said from the
it's uncomfortable.
World War II era.
Well, there's echoes of that, and it's creating an in-group and an out-group. And whenever you do that, bad things happen.
But it's also giving the people who had it the opportunity to show that they had it immediately. Like maybe it'll be on your iPhone with
you're an elitist, Susan. You like that.
I know. But I also want to travel. If I want to go to a game, a baseball game, I'm going to have to do that. But it's nice to have it electronically somewhere. It's just really nice. That's for me.
Okay, let's.
I don't have all my vaccination papers from the last 60
JPK,
years.
JPK, interested in talking to you. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to comment on the passport thing, but maybe I have a question for you, Dr. Drew, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Because I was watching several videos where you explained your disease and your long haul issue.
Yeah.
But what I did not really understand is the very beginning, the first days, because I'm an advocate and I fully understand early treatment, your protocol, and all these other protocols you are totally aware about. But I'm not fully understanding what was the sequence in time when you got your first symptom to the point when you realized that you really needed to get into an early treatment, and how did you cope with ivermectin and the other drugs you took?
Okay, so
I wanted to know about that.
I am and was convinced then that ivermectin had some utility. I wasn't sure how much, but it seemed like no harm, no foul. So I took ivermectin. I did the day 1 and day 3 protocol. I think if I were to do it again, I would take the 5-day protocol because
I took it too.
I don't think it did much for me.
Made me sick.
Then Dr. Zelenko called me and begged me to take hydroxychloroquine, so I took hydroxychloroquine. And I'm not convinced that did much for me either because I got sick. But as I was going down and starting to desaturate, I have a very fine physician. We talked every day on the phone, and we both agreed that steroids were in my future and that we had to get a monoclonal antibody going as soon as possible. But first, I needed a positive test. I was negative for 4 days, and on
it was a weekend.
We were tested on Saturday, and
Friday.
And on the next test was Monday, and that's when I converted, and that's when we can get the bamlanivimab on board. The steroids and the bamlanivimab, I could tell were having a marked effect on me. The one thing I will tell you that I stopped going down and I stabilized. But the relentlessness of this virus did not let up for another 10 days after that. It's so relentless. That's the thing that caught my attention. Just, I had H1N1, and that was a much more toxic illness. I really, that was terrible. But this thing just grinds on in a way that's very peculiar.
And your ears were ringing, and you couldn't, you were tired.
Yeah, the neurological stuff was weird.
Like more than tired.
Does that answer your question?
And from what I remember about the videos I watched, it seems that you had a lot of hesitancy in the beginning that if you had COVID or not, and of course these false negatives didn't help at all. But what was were these initial negative tests? Have they delayed your decision to move to treatment?
No, I started treatment right away. I was convinced I had COVID, but I kept getting negative tests. And then I thought then my first, I was sick and out of my head, but my doctor head kicked in and went, what else could this be? If tomorrow I have a negative test, oh my God, what's up? I got to get a blood count.
The hypochondriac kicked in.
Yeah. And so I started thinking about what gives you somebody fever and, this kind of thing and weakness and crazy neurological symptoms in a, 60-year-old. Like, it's got to be AL. I thought of the worst thing. And so I thought of acute lymphocytic leukemia, and I thought, okay, here we go. But then I was positive.
But then the fluvoxamine.
Well, that's a different story. Is that he's asking about the early treatment? I'm not sure it did much.
Fluvoxamine kicked in afterwards for to try to get rid of the long haul aspect. That's what I understand.
Yes, I was about. I'm trying to remember these
ringing
these
in the ears. Now. He was tired all day.
I was about.
He'd do a show and you have to lay down.
Yeah, I'd have to lie down after everything. But probably 9 weeks out, I started the fluvoxamine, maybe 8 weeks. I think it was 8 weeks out. And
we did the show with Steve Hirsch, Curse, 2 weeks before that, and he was begging you to do it.
But again, there's,
But you were kind of coming off all the other drugs. You want to make sure
it's just risk-reward analysis. And, we were thinking about it. And I was kind of getting better, but then it was clear I wasn't getting better. And so I took the medicine. Ringing in my ear was improved within 30 minutes. Actually went away for a little while. And my energy slowly kind of came back, steadily came back over the next 2 weeks on fluvoxamine. So that was that piece.
I saw a marked difference.
Yeah, people were commenting that there was a difference.
Wow. I can give you a factual because I'm in touch with medical doctors in Southern Africa, not in South Africa, but in the region. We're dealing a lot with the South African variant, and I'm also in touch with excellent early outpatient medical doctors in Brazil. And
I'm reading your.
So he's
and
working on the variants.
Tu es Québécois maintenant? We lost him. Oh, shoot.
Did your phone hang up? Go off the Bluetooth?
An immigrant in Quebec, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Okay, what did he say?
We missed most of what you said prior to immigrant in Quebec.
Okay, no, that's a side issue. But regarding passports, I wrote a piece on this, and I analyzed in particular the European regulation, which is very detailed, and it's really interesting because it shows a bit that the devil is in the details. And there are three categories to qualify. One is a negative test. Second is a vaccine. Third is a certificate whereby you have proven that you have recovered from the disease. But your experience shows it. You were testing negative for a period of time.
Yep.
While you were already sick.
Yep.
And so you could have, with that system, you could have gone in a flight.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
potentially infect other people because you can be negative and spread the disease, etc. So that's one flow.
Well,
and it's a flow for the.
And then the antibody testing too is kind of a inexact science at this point, in the sense of, only 30% of people have sustained antibody response, and we really don't know anything about much, at least, about the cellular immunity that's left behind.
I can tell you I'm not an expert at all, but I interviewed one of the top and most controversial experts on the topic, Geert van den Bosch, who is a Belgian guy. And this is incredibly complex.
Yeah.
And I think we live in a world where people have been led to believe, we are going to have an immunity, we need to rush to the vaccine and everything is going to fine. And then, but by the way, you mentioned it yourself, maybe these vaccines don't work with certain variants and what's going on, etc.
Yep.
It's an awfully complex thing. But the thing is that even vaccinated people with the type of vaccine, that I understood well, the type of vaccines that are being used right now, and there are others in development that may perform much better, but the current vaccines are prophylactic vaccines to reduce the severity of the disease case of an infection. They don't prevent spreading the virus either.
Well, they do. That wasn't the goal, though, right? They're being shown
they reduce, but they don't prevent.
It looks like again, the degree to which they prevent is arguable, but there is a good deal of study with the Pfizer group, at least, that they're not causing infection, therefore not causing spread.
There is evidence not based on that, but of actual people having been fully vaccinated in Europe. There are cases, and then they are being tested, and they are full of virus. And,
that happens.
So
that happens. It happens. That's for sure. It happens.
So anyway, the point is that these passports will not be bulletproof. They will not be bulletproof in terms of an infection on a plane. And I'm thinking very much for long planes, for long, because if you hear somebody like Professor McCullough, you are certainly aware of his work, he basically says that because we know that asymptomatic people are very, very unlikely to spread the disease, if you have good control at the beginning of a flight, you may not need actually, that may be your best guarantee to have a safe flight. But the second thing is that even if you have the safe flight and no transmission in the flight, this whole concept of the passport preventing the variants to go from one place to the other in the world is kind of ludicrous. Right. And I'm in Canada, they've already created this I'm saying crazy, but an extremely controversial system where when you get from Canada, from overseas, you need to have 3 days of quarantine and be tested twice and then go another 14 days at your house. I mean, everything is done with the purpose of preventing the variants to go from one place to the other. Of course, to get more variants in Canada. But the reality, it seems that from my reading of the regulations and the way false negative tests and the characteristics of the vaccines exist, that this is not going to be bulletproof. And I think people need to discuss that, and it should be much more debated, because this is a significant flow before we get into this awfully complex system without probably any kind of real safety for anyone.
Here's the one thing that we have absolute, we call it consanguinity, we're completely aligned on, which is shutting down debate will be one of is always the stupidest thing you can do. And we may look back on this entire episode, and in addition to closing schools and some of those things, this may be the other thing we look back on and go, oh my God, that was insane. Shutting down debate.
I tell you, I can send you the material. There is an initiative which is gaining steam in Canada. It's called Zero COVID. And I can tell you what they are recommending is nothing compared to what we have seen so far in terms of strict measures, homeschooling, and all the rest of it.
Well, Jean-Pierre, thank you so much. Is there a website or anything you want to push out there for everybody?
Well, I created a blog a year ago, actually, and it's called covexit.com. So it was supposed to exit from COVID. So it's on my profile. And there are a bunch of articles, and my next article will... I can mention one thing. I checked. There is a story there. I can tell you, you would be interested, Dr. Drew, because you have taken that drug. There is a story about Mexico and ivermectin. That is, I could not believe it. I went through the data from the Ministry of Health in Mexico, and it's just astounding. And I'm going to get this.
What was the name of the website again? COVID.
Jean-Pierre.
Oh, your alarm went off. So
yeah, I know. I got to deal with this.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, what was the website, Jean-Pierre?
Oh, it's Covexit, COVEXIT.com.
Covexit, like Brexit. Covexit. All right, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye. Susan, I agreed to be on somebody's radio show at 6 o'clock, not knowing we were going to start so late. It's 6 o'clock. That's what that alarm was.
Whose radio show?
Kevin Ryder.
Oh.
Over at KLOS.
Okay. Well, that's
so
okay.
I got to wrap things up here.
So really quick, we're going to have Eliza Blue back again with Teresa Helm. She was an Epstein survivor tomorrow at 3.
So Eliza coming back too?
Yeah, I'm going to have her pop in.
Excellent.
And then on Wednesday, we have, let me find the thing here, the one and only pathologist du jour, Nicole and Jimmy.
You guys, hey, all of you on
we're gonna
Clubhouse,
look at
this you want
body
to
parts.
hang out for. Look at her Instagram if you want something fun. It's Mrs. MRS _ and Jimmy.
It's not for the squeamish.
ANGEMI. She's a path tech who
Mrs.
loves teaching, and we do a little pathology.
So she's coming on Wednesday, and then we have another guy on Thursday, but I don't have a banner yet. So
okay.
I'm not really sure yet. But
I want to thank everybody on Clubhouse. Thank you. For
and I just want to say one more time, we had Dr. Ram Yojendra and Dr. Bruce Patterson on last week, and
there was Stripe allows the accept the payment.
Go ahead.
Wait, what?
Go ahead.
What did he say? And he literally the viewership on that show tripled because of this tweet. So I just want to thank you, Drew, for this wonderful tweet.
Good.
Yeah, it really helped our numbers. So
thank Jordan for that. He really helped.
It could be.
It was his.
It could be worse,
really.
Right?
Oh, listen, I cannot take this stuff seriously anymore.
We just start laughing.
We've been through so many of these. It's just to me just astonishing what geniuses hang around on Twitter.
But these guys are great. They are working with the long haulers. You go to covidlonghaulers.com and you can sign up, and they'll give you advice and help, and everything will be good.
All right, guys, thank you for hanging out today, and we'll be in here at 3 o'clock or 3:30 tomorrow.
And you're going to be on Fox tonight too, right?
Yeah, Fox 11 for a minute, talking about vaccine passports. So there you go.
They saw your tweet and had to get on the bandwagon, I guess.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's
tomorrow,
it.
3 or 3:30.
I believe it's at 3. So.
All right. Hopefully, we'll see you.
I don't know. If we're not there at 3, we'll be there by 3:30.
Thank you guys on Restream. Thank you so much, and we will see you then.
Cheers.
This pandemic began, we were not sure how it spread. Everyone began wearing masks and using hand sanitizers. Great ways to slow the spread, but a lot of people still get sick. I can personally attest to that. We now know that COVID-19 spreads via aerosols and droplets from the nose and mouth, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Why aren't we also sanitizing the nose and mouth, killing the virus directly at the place where it spreads? Why weren't more doctors thinking about this? Well, some doctors have done the research. Wish I discovered it sooner. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Halodyne. It's an FDA-registered antiseptic for the nose and mouth that's proven to eliminate 99.99% of the virus that causes COVID-19 in just 15 seconds. That's right. was created by a team of clinicians with decades of experience in antiviral treatments, initially created to protect healthcare workers. These are smart scientists, and it's a great product that also eliminates many other viruses and infecting particles. I'm using both their nasal antiseptic swab and their oral spray to help protect those around me, and you should be too. For others and for yourself. Whether you're hopping on a 3-hour flight, always use it there, visiting grandparents, or attending a meeting that you can't miss, Halodyne's family of oral and nasal antiseptics give you the safe, easy, on-the-go antiviral protection for up to 4 hours. I encourage you to try Halodyne at halodyne.com today. My listeners get 10% off with the discount code Dr. Drew. That is HALODINE.com, discount code DRDREW. So obvious. It just makes sense. Stop the virus before it spreads and gets in your body with Halodyne. I've struggled with various digestive issues over the years, so gut health is extremely important to me. Now, while gut health awareness has increased, it has led to a wellness trend that inspired a host of kind of questionable marketing claims and even false claims. You've seen the word probiotic attached to all kinds of supplements, drinks, and more, and they may claim to deliver the healthy microorganisms our guts need for proper function, but all too often the promises are really too good to be true. Thankfully, I became aware of a company called Seed and their flagship product, the Daily Synbiotic. That's right. Seed's Daily Synbiotic offers 24 clinically researched strains of microorganisms in a single dose. These strains support gut, skin, and heart health and promotes regularity, sometimes within as little as 24 to 48 hours. To me, what really sets Seed's Daily Synbiotic apart is its delivery system. This is my supply. While some products may offer the right strains, they are fragile and they rarely survive the trip through your gut. Seed uses a capsule-in-capsule design that helps ensure that 100% of the probiotics reach your colon where they matter most. Now, I've been taking Seed's Daily Synbiotic, and I encourage you to check out their story and the science behind what they do. To try it for yourself, just go to seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code Dr. Drew for 20% off your first month of Daily Synbiotic. That is seed.com/Dr. Drew. Use code DRDREW, Dr. Drew.